cherubim of gold, of hammered work shall you make them on the two ends of the mercy seat. At first glance, it just seems like another biblical verse, right? But it hides something extremely important. You see, when you understand that the word cherubim shares the same root as the word brain, cerebrum, everything changes. Because the brain has two hemispheres, just like the verse mentions two cherubim. Elon, put an image of the brain on the screen so people can understand this better. If the mercy seat, the place where God dwells, is positioned between those cherubim, that suggests that God's sanctuary.
All right, y'all, quick question. Have y'all ever came across one of them videos that'll make you stop and think? Well, this video right here that I'm getting ready to play for y'all, when I first came across it, it made me do exactly that. I had to stop and think about it because there was a lot of things being said about the Vatican, about our brains, about how reality worked. And in about 2015, I went through some type of experience when I started seeing the world a whole lot different. And it was almost like I was listening to these frequencies. So I'm about to play this video and I want y'all to comment at the end. Y'all can comment during the video. Just tell me what y'all think. Y'all think this is possible? Y'all think that could be lying about this? Or what? Money boy in the building.
Change everything for you. All right, is this recording? Okay, well, it all begins in Exodus 25:19. Elon, put the verse on the screen, please. The verse says, "You shall make two cherubim of gold, of hammered work shall you make them on the two ends of the mercy seat." At first glance, it just seems like another biblical verse, right? But it hides something extremely important. You see, when you understand that the word cherubim shares the same root as the word brain, cerebrum, everything changes. Because the brain has two hemispheres, just like the verse mentions two cherubim. Elon, put an image of the brain on the screen so people can understand this better. If the mercy seat, the place where God dwells, is positioned between those cherubim, that suggests that God's sanctuary is actually within our own brain. More specifically, in a pine cone-shaped gland located between the two hemispheres of the brain. This gland has been revered for thousands and thousands of years. The ancient Hindus and Buddhists called it the third eye. The Taoists referred to it as the upper dantian, and the father of modern philosophy, René Descartes, called this gland the seat of the soul. And even modern science acknowledges that this region of the brain secretes spiritual molecules capable of producing divine experiences. This part of the brain is called the pineal gland, and it sits exactly between the two hemispheres of the brain. As I mentioned earlier, the pineal gland is shaped like a pine cone, and Christianity is filled with pine cone imagery. Elon, put these images on the screen. Notice the massive pine cone statue in front of the Vatican, the pine cones present in Christian paintings, and even biblical verses that reference pine cones. And it becomes even more fascinating when we look at Michelangelo's painting, The Creation of Adam. Elon, show that image on the screen. In that painting, you can clearly see God surrounded by a shape that closely resembles a human brain. And God is extending his hand from the exact region where the pineal gland would be located. This further reinforces the idea that the pineal gland is the meeting point with the divine. And in just a moment, you're going to understand how to use this discovery to begin attracting abundance and wealth into your life as soon as tonight. This knowledge was widely known hundreds of years ago, but at some point in history, it was deliberately erased. That's why Jesus said, "The kingdom of God is within you," because it truly is. And by piecing together the lost scrolls that were intentionally hidden by the Vatican, I was able to rediscover this truth, a truth they wanted us to forget. Because this truth could become the great equalizer of society. Think about it. When everyone knows how to attract abundance, blessings, wealth, and vibrant health, there's no longer any need for the systems created by the elites. The poor become wealthy, and the wealthy become just like everyone else. And that's what becomes possible when you activate your pineal gland. Elon is living proof of this. A young man who crossed my path at a moment of deep anguish, with no money, no hope, and a troubled mind. But after he began using this secret, he experienced a level of abundance he didn't even know existed. Elon quickly earned his first million, and over the years became a globally recognized billionaire, with a beautiful family and several healthy children. Everything he desires comes to him. He visualizes, and it happens. But I'd go as far as saying that Elon didn't change much about what he was already doing. I know he had always worked hard. According to him, things just never seemed to work out before, until this small shift made all the difference. In other words, the abundance and wealth you've been seeking for so long are far closer than you ever imagined. And it all begins with activating your pineal gland. But that raises an important question. Why is your pineal gland inactive in the first place? All signs point to this being deliberate, engineered by elite families who have always held power. A few decades ago, fluoride was added to the water. After that, heavy metals began showing up in cleaning products and personal care items. Over time, we started spending more and more hours indoors, while pesticides and fertilizers began contaminating fruits and vegetables. All of this contributes to the calcification of the pineal gland, causing it to shut down and leaving behind tiny calcite microcrystals that directly interfere with how it functions. But here's the good news. These microcrystals are extremely sensitive to sound. Not just any sound, but very specific frequencies. That's why chanting and vocal harmonies are so common in churches. Sound vibration causes these microcrystals to vibrate as well, which, as a result, activates the pineal gland.
When Father Michael finished explaining all of this to me, the day we first met, he placed a CD in my hand. He told me that the recordings on it would cause the microcrystals in my pineal gland to vibrate, activate the gland, and change my life. So, over the next few days...
Now, after listening to all that, seeing all of the imagery, hearing that Vatican priest say all that stuff about what's going on, what do you think? What do you think? Because, you know, they always hiding stuff from, let's say, the public. If you want to hear what those sounds are, if you want to know what kind of frequency they was listening to, then do your research just like me. I was on their helmet like white on rice. Ain't nothing gonna get past me anymore. with that being said, go on and leave your comments. If you're new to my channel, go on and subscribe, leave a like, and share this video with everybody. Like that priest said, this needs to be out there. Everybody needs to know about this. It won't be no homeless people. It won't be nobody needing food and stuff like that. So share this. Let everybody know.